we lie to each other? You don't see what you get. You can't see the thoughts and hearts of people. You can't see the weaknesses and failures and the shows that we put on with each other. It ain't what you see, it's what you get. What's seen is the physical. What's not seen, there's the eternal. There's the real. There's the spiritual. And isn't it amazing, how we look at things that contrast things. Contrast shows us the real differences between things. And that's kind of interesting, well, there goes the mutton depth of it. What do you mean when you say something like that, mutton depth? Tall and short. We're making a contrast. You see. We make all kinds of contrasts. We have all kinds of sayings. And the Bible is full of contrast, and the book of James is a book of contrast. And boy, I wish I had time. If I was Burton Kaufman, I'd sit up here and quote it to you. I'm talking about the whole book. I sure wish we could just sit there and read through it and see, chapter 1 talking about the trials that you go through. And chapter 2 talking about how we deal with each other, rich and poor, and taking care of each other's needs. And then chapter 3 is the tongue. And chapter 3 is where we're going to be at this morning, where the middle of the context of this idea of wisdom, starting in chapter 3, verse 13. But you go on and talk about the wars among the brethren. And there's that contrast being made between light and darkness, good and evil, life and death, and on we go. And James, and this is my introduction. This is not my subject this morning. But James 2 talks about if somebody comes into your assembly and he's poor and you say, sit where? On the footstool, out of the way. And somebody comes in and they're rich and you say, what's that up here on the amen corner? And James says, as he introduces that subject, he says, brethren, don't hold the faith of our Lord Jesus Christ with respect to persons. Don't hold faith in Jesus with prejudice. Get to my point now, hang on. So he says, if somebody comes in and they're naked and hungry, and you say, go and be warm and filled, but you don't give them something to eat, something to throw on. Here's James's question. Can that faith save? You see, we'd say that's not faith at all. But James contrasts a live faith with a dead faith. A live faith is one that performs as faith does. A dead faith is one that don't. We all talk about faith, don't we? What a contrast. James contrasts wisdom from above and wisdom not from above. And I'm going to read the verses. I'm going to tell you why I phrased it just that way. In verse 13 of James chapter, it's supposed to be 3 now. James chapter 3, verse 13 through 18. It's not James chapter 1. James chapter 3, verse 13 through 18, okay? So regardless of what else I say, we're in chapter 3. I do that when I teach Bible lessons. We're teaching Exodus the other night, and I said something about Isaiah or somebody. They said, what? I said, remember, regardless of what else I say, we're studying Exodus. So just keep it in that context. Well, whatever else I say, we're in James chapter 3, 13 through 18, and keep it in that context. Who among you is wise and understanding? Now, I want to preface the rest of it. Remember, as we studied Proverbs, what the wise Solomon does with wisdom and understanding? There's couples, you see. The Hebrew parallelism, wisdom and understanding are synonymous with each other. Who among you is wise and understanding? Let him show by his good behavior his deed in the gentleness of wisdom. money. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there is disorder and every evil thing. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, reasonable, full of mercy and good fruit, unwavering, without hypocrisy. And the seed whose fruit is righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. Now I want you to know that that's the punchline. So the whole of James deals with the struggles that goes on in the lives of people as they try to live godly among people who are not trying to live godly. In this world, it was that Jewish world and the Christian world in opposition, and the Judaizers were persecuting, and of course the Roman government was persecuting, and so the saints had to live in that situation. Now, application for you and me is, when we're living among people like that, how do we live? And how do we show that we are wise and understanding? What do people see when we say what you see and what you get? What do they really get? What do they see? Well, I'm going to back up just a minute, and then I'm going to try to make my point rather rapidly, but don't get your hopes up. Notice that he says, don't be arrogant and so lie against the truth. Well, we're not talking about the truth of the truth of truth, that everything is truth. We're talking about the truth of how saints are supposed to live together in relationship to God and Jesus and each other. That's the whole point. Read the book of James. I'm sorry, I don't have time to do that for you. Read the book of James. Now, so let's talk about the wisdom, that is how we live together. The wisdom as to how we treat each other when we're treated badly. The wisdom of how do we live with the pressures of an ungodly world. And you know, it's interesting to me, James starts off his book by talking about those things. Blessed are you, count it all joy when you fall into manifold temptations, knowing that the trying of your faith works patience. And if anyone lacks wisdom, it's interesting that we'll read that verse and then we'll put a period there and throw it away, and then we'll take, but if any of you lack wisdom, ask God, and we'll just talk about wisdom in a general sense. And we'll talk about wisdom in relationship to what he just said and what he said afterwards. Count it joy. How can you count it joy? If you lack wisdom to do that, well, you sure need to be asking God to help you with that. I think that's his point, okay? I think that's the point of James, but that's me. Do with that what you want to. Well, let me look at the wisdom. And notice the contrast that James gives of this wisdom that he's talking about. And I hope I'm going to get some application, so hang in there. Let's get on the train ride. Contrast of origin. There is that wisdom which is from above. Now, we don't have any problem understanding above. James has already told us that wisdom is from God, because in James 1:17, every good thing given and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shifting of shadows. So in the context of James, above is from the Father. Above is where the Father is. And so the wisdom from above is wisdom from the Father, wisdom from God. And folks, godly. Wisdom is, well, that's true, but remember, God paints the contrast for us. So if we're saying we're wise, and we think we're wise, and we're acting unwise, again, what are people seeing? What do we say? What do you see? Yeah. Well, so, the contrast is origin. There is wisdom that's from above. That's from God. There is wisdom that is not from above. Now, that's what the verse says. And when we see that not from above, we generally think, where? From below. But my question to you is, from below where? From below here? See, that's what we think about when we think hell, don't we? We think heaven above and hell below, and we're somewhere in the middle of all that. But you see, that's not what the Bible teaches. That's our conclusion. I think below means right here where we are. It's human wisdom. Wish I had time to go to Romans 10 with you. But remember, he said, don't ask God who's going to come down and save us, because Jesus already did that. That would be to bring him down. Down where? He ascended into the dead. Where did he ascend to? He ascended right where we are. And lived among us. You know, I got to quit thinking and preach. So there's this contrast. Below, he says it's earthly. It is natural. It is demonic. I think what we ought to think is that it is influenced by the demonic. But you can do with that what you want to. But remember, do your word study. Earthly is not worldly. It's not cosmos. It's game. It's land. It's earth. It's the physical. Which is, by the way, the argument between the Jews and the Christians or the saints. We want the physical land. What's the writer who wrote about the fact that God wants to give us banana pudding and cake and strawberries and we sit around eating mud pies? C.of.C. Lewis, yeah. We're satisfied with the mud and the dirt and the water. But God wants us to be made in the spiritual, in the real, in the eternal. Well, so contrast the nature. The nature of that which is not from above, he says, is bitterly jealous. The nature of that wisdom is that it is bitterly jealous. And the Greek word, it is sharply jealous. Well, just read the New Testament and see what was going on and all that. And by the way, and then we see how we act and interact and react with each other because of what we believe is right or wrong, or what we demand of each other, what we want from each other. And the second thing he says is that it is selfishly ambitious. It wants what it wants when it wants it. But the wisdom that's from above is first pure, then it's peaceable, and gentle, and reasonable, full of mercy feasible. What do people see when what they see is what they get from you? And I'm going to have to tell you, folks, I am so woefully lacking. Well, what about the contrast of the fruit? Now, I was sitting up here thinking, old-time preachers, and I keep running and preaching my sermon in my head. I preached it all night long and didn't sleep all night. But the old-time preachers used to talk about the fact that, we know we're not supposed to judge. Don't be judges. I ain't a judge, I'm a fruit inspector. Well, so when you inspect the fruit, and you see the fruit that I'm bearing, you think it's rotten? That sounds like judging to me. We start making judgments. And we want to make our percentages. How pure do you have to be? How peaceable do you have to be? How gentle do you have to be? Well, we're going to make our judgments about that. Well, notice, that which is not from above, that which is from below, that which is from here, that's my conviction. Shows arrogance. A little learning is a dangerous thing. And if a little learning is a dangerous thing, a lot of learning is a lot of dangerous. Because knowledge is not always wisdom. Being able to quote the verse don't mean you understand it. It's application, it's life, you see. And it's lying against the truth. I think that we're dealing with the truth of love, the truth of being brethren, the truth that's spiritual, that God calls us into in Christ. When you look at the book of James, how do we live, by the way, with those who won't stand us under persecution? How do we live with those who demand that we stand up stronger against persecution? I keep telling you, folks, the world can do what it wants to. You can't demand holiness from unholy people. We demand holiness from holy people. We expect that. Why? Because that's what God expects and that's what we want. That's what we love. Second thing that wisdom, the fruit of that wisdom is disorder. So division, chaos, problems, not orderly. That wisdom. And then every evil thing. And I think that would be every evil thing that we think about each other and do to each other. I don't think he's talking about lying and cheating and stealing, we're going to name the specifics so I can catch you doing something. I think he's talking about how we treat each other. But you can do that what you want to too. Read the book of James and listen to what he says. Especially, chapter 3, don't be many of you teachers, knowing that we'll receive the greater judgment. If any man can bridle his tongue, that man's a perfect man. So the context just above this one is the use of the tongue with each other. That which is from above, you see, is, and I get back to fruit is righteousness. And literally what that says is, the fruit that is righteous. The word seed is not in that text, and I don't understand that, but I'm not the translator nor the scholar. Woefully lacking in being scholarly. The seed whose fruit is righteousness, the fruit of righteousness, is sown in peace by those who make peace. It's interesting to me. I got a call from a friend of mine that I hadn't heard from in a long, long time this last week. And he wants me to send him any information that I have, material I have on the Beatitudes. Because he's there to be studying the Beatitudes. And basically what he said is he wants to help some of the teachers teach on the subject, but he don't have time to do the research. He just wants the material. Well, you know what's emphasized in the Beatitudes? Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. What do people see in us when they see what we get, or what they get when they see us? My brethren, do not hold your faith in our glorious Lord Jesus Christ with an attitude of personal favoritism. I always ask the question, what does faith have to do with faith in Jesus? Well, it has everything to do with it, because Jesus died for who? Everybody. Rich and poor, educated, uneducated, people with different colored skin, people with different backgrounds. He died for everybody. And if you have faith in Jesus, you have to believe that. If you have faith in Jesus, you have to live that. So he started the context by saying, who among you is wise and understanding? And you know what he's not saying? I don't want to show a hand. I want to show a life. Let him show by his good behavior, his deeds, in gentleness and wisdom. So what they're saying, what you see is what you get. And what you get when you see me. Maybe what you see, think what you get. The wisdom from above is first pure and peaceable and gentle and peaceable and full of mercy, good fruits and unwavering. And notice that I underline the last verse. That's 3:17 now. Can we still hear the fruit? I don't know why I had one on my brain. Without hypocrisy. No play acting going on in the life of the person who is wise and understanding. Well, maybe a little. Maybe a lot. But is there growth? Is there pursuit? Is there goal? What do we really want? And you know when we tell each other what we really want, be careful. You're going to have to be accountable for what you want. People might look at you and say, oh, I thought you wanted to be different. I thought you wanted to be figured out a way. He didn't have to figure it out, he knew it. Figured out a way to let us have fellowship with him. Us unwise people. Because you see, real wisdom is found in Jesus. And pursuit of God through Jesus. If you've never obeyed the gospel of Jesus Christ, we'd encourage you to do that this morning. Repent of your sins, confess him as your Lord, be immersed with him in baptism, that you might be raised to that new life. And as God's sons and daughters, let's be wise.